Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the Apache Halloween YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll be behind the camera today, and I will be doing a how-to video on how to make your own timer for your Spirit Halloween or Home Depot animatronics that involve a Try Me feature. So for a while now, I've had many props that I want to either go off at certain intervals, but the sensors on them are not really good, and I also don't want to have people actually come up and press a button. So my next thing besides a sensor is to have a timer. So like props that are like a background character, not necessarily a jump scare like per se Mr. Dark, but for something that's a little more just to add to the whole vibe of the haunted house, per se, like Grinning Gertrude or the Bite-Sized Clown, something like that, where they're not really crucial, but they add to it. So I was looking around and happened to have a Arduino Nano in my possession. It's this little guy right here. And I wanted to see if I could make something out of this by just using this, and it turns out you can. And I figured out, well, I didn't figure it out. I looked online, but there's not really any videos on this stuff, so I decided to make a video to show you guys how to do it. And as you can see, I'm sitting like in my bed right now filming this video because it's just that easy. It's very simple to do this. You could literally do it in your bed, and I'm going to show you how. So one question you might have is like, why not just have these things run on constant mode? I've seen people do that, and while it's a good idea maybe because it adds life to the scene no matter what, the only thing I don't like about that is because these props are not the highest quality props that we have, and they have plastic gears and stuff. They're just prone to breaking, so I don't really want to have them on if I don't necessarily have to. For example, I got the Reaper of Souls. His mouth is really dry rotted right now, and I'm just not sure how much stress the mouthpiece can be put under before it cracks. So I want to make sure that I only use him when I really want him to be used. So that's like, he was the main reason that I'm making this right now, because this whole like prototype is basically for him, and I was able to do it. So here is the code. It is pretty simple in terms of length. It is only 15 lines of actual code, and as you can see here, I am by no means a coder. I just pulled this off the internet, but I can understand some of the meaning behind it. Now as you can see, it says delay 120,000. Now that is in milliseconds. So that equates to about 2 minutes, and that is the time that the timer is off. So that would be the amount of delay you want from when the prop is like basically off. So you can have it to be like a 1 minute thing, 2 minutes, or even like 10 minutes, however much memory I think the Arduino has, but I'm not too sure. Then the second part and the lower bottom on line 13, it says delay of only 100. So again, that's in milliseconds, and that is the amount of time like to trigger. So like that's supposed to resemble you pressing the try me button, basically. That's all that does, and that's what makes the prop activate. So as you can see, it's pretty simple. Now let's go into the wiring. And I also like to point out that I will have this code in the description to the actual website, and where you can copy it for yourself and do this yourself. Now to the actual wiring. Now the first thing that you might want to do is actually just test to make sure your code is working correctly. So this right here is your breadboard. Now you can get these off of Amazon, and then I just have this one LED test light, basically. That's what it's going to be for, and these two leads that are going to plug into the Arduino. So all you are going to want to do is plug in these two leads into their designated pins. Now for testing purposes, you are going to want to plug in one of your pins into the 3V3 pin, and then the other will have to plug in to the pin that's designated to whatever output you had on the code. Now for my code, it is on pin 13, which is right here, but as you can see, there's pins numbers for many others goes from, I can see D2 all the way up to D12 on this side. But for this case, it's going to be D13. And LEDs, make sure that there is a positive and a negative side for an LED. And what you're going to want to do is make sure that the LED positive side is located or plugs into the 3V3 pin, while the negative side plugs into the D13 pin. So now that your whole little setup here is wired up, you can plug in any power supply. Now for this case, I'm just going to use the USB that plugs into the computer. And I made the timer duration a lot shorter just for demonstration purposes right now. So I will plug this in and you will see the light rapidly flash. Now here comes the somewhat confusing part. It's still a little confusing to me, so I guess go at your own risk. But so when you want to go and actually plug this into the animatronic, you are going to not want to use what we did to test this thing, but instead we still are going to use the D13 pin, but then for the other wire that connects to the aux cable, you're going to want to just use any one of the other D pins. Now for this project, I'm just going to use the 12 pin, any one that's opened. So let's go to the wiring. The first thing you're going to want is to have a power supply. So for these, I plan to just have them be 9-volt batteries. They should last you a while. Definitely, I feel like more than just one night. And what I did is for my prototype right here, I just soldered these plugs to them like this. One for each side, red being the positive one. And then you want your aux cable, which is for your tri-me jack. And again, just soldered some of these pins to it for easy connections for the Arduino. So for the power supply, you are going to want to find your ground and voltage in, the VIN. That's what that stands for. It's voltage in. So I'm going to take my red wire and plug it into the voltage in, and then this other wire and plug it into the ground, like that. The next thing that you're going to want to do is take your pins right here and plug them into their designated spots. I do not think it matters which one goes to which for this case, so I'm just going to plug one wire into the D13 pin right there, and then just the other one goes to this 12 pin right here. So that is really all that it takes. Now I'm hoping to make like a box for this, so it all just is one clean unit here without all these wires dangling. But then you just need to take your battery and plug it on. And then for the future, I hope to wire a switch in series right here to either just have it on and off without me having to disconnect the battery. But for now, this works. This should work pretty well. So here it is all wired up. It's plugged into the Reaper of Souls Try Me button. And if I make a loud noise right here, you see he doesn't go off, which is good. So now I'll just wait the 2 minutes and show you how he works.
May the demons of the underworld have mercy on your soul.
So as you saw right there, you saw the red light on the Arduino go dim for a second, and soon after he activated. Now, again, that's the way that I figured it out for it to work. Now, obviously, try this at your own risk. It might be different for different animatronics, I'm not sure, but I've activated this guy a couple times now, and he seemed to have worked okay. Now, I did wire it up a different way before, which I didn't tell you about. Now, where I wired one wires to the ground on the Arduino pin, the ground pin, and it did work, but the problem was that after a couple seconds, his sound started to get really distorted and it was really odd. So I quickly yanked out the wires, and once I yanked out the wire to the ground, the sound went back to normal, which I found quite odd. So don't do that. But this should work. It has been working, like I said, for a couple tries now. So I do plan to use this for my haunted house. Again, because this guy is so old, the gears, I just don't want to have him going off when he doesn't have to. But that is about it for this video. If you are going to attempt this, I'd love to see any feedback or any ideas to how to make this better. Because like I said, I'm no coding expert. This is all just me looking on the internet and trying to find ideas. So if you guys have any ideas, please let me know in the comments. It'd be greatly appreciated. But yeah, so there's a timer for your animatronics. And here I have the bite-sized clown. I just wired it up to him as well, just to see, because again, this is SVI, that's YJ. So I want to see if there's any difference. I can't imagine there is, just a try me button. But so I'm just sitting here waiting for the 2 minutes to be up, and hopefully he goes off. But that is basically what's all going on here. It's pretty simple. I think anyone could do this. If you do try to do this, please tell me how it goes. I'd really be interested. It's just great for something that's for a background prop, like these guys all here. These guys are all just background animatronics. They're not meant to be really jump scare you, just to have the certain vibe to whatever scene you have. There he goes. And like you can tell, it's not the sensor, because the sensor is in light right now, and if I cover it up, nothing's happening. So it's definitely the timer going on there, so it's pretty cool. So that's basically it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this helps you guys out. Again, try it at your own risk, because I'm not no coding guy, so I don't really know. I've done stuff like this for years on my props, and none of them have ever had like a negative impact on them. Like I've done sensors from Harbor Freight and wireless remotes. Nothing's ever gotten destroyed, so I don't think it can be that bad. But that's the end of this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you. See you later.